James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, it's great. Great. Humor, heart, it's pretty. And yeah, spoilers from here on out. Yes, they killed Captain Boomerang, my favorite guy, but at least he got to do a cool boomerang throw, which is more than I can say for the original Suicide Squad. But one thing bugged me. Listen, I really like this movie. Start to finish, I had a blast. I'm not trying to put down James Gunn or anyone behind the film because overall, I was a big fan. You know what? I don't usually do this, but here is a bunch of specific praise for the Suicide Squad, just to show you how much I really loved this movie. I love this shot of them fighting around the helmet. I love how when the building is exploding, we spend just enough time lingering on this explosive for everyone at home to say to themselves, Peacemaker, in King Shark's voice. I loved the shot where Harley remembers Milton. I loved how Bloodsport and Peacemaker compete over kills. Reveals like this one, Ratcatcher and Peacemaker rule. The payoff with the Javelin is really excellent. It is 100% earned. Every single actor is really funny. Lines like, "Who knows why madmen do what they do?" are delivered with such a straight face that they all stick the landing. I love how Peacemaker ordered a drink for Sebastian. Really helped to endear him to the audience. I love how we never explained what Ratcatcher's device actually was, and we never cared. I love how quickly we were into the action. Flag's yellow shirt looked great. I love the fact that we got a Calendar Man and Double Down cameo. I love this face that Harley makes at Thinker. I love how Ratcatcher 2 has a really specific posture that helps you recognize her instantly in a group and characterize her as uncomfortable. I love how even serious guys in the Suicide Squad aren't necessarily good at this. Like Savant probably just robbed a bank or two and then fought Black Canary before he was put in prison. He is not ready to be shot with a ton of guns. I love all the birds in cages. They work as a pretty simple signal for, hey, this guy sucks. I love when Harley says 69. I love how Captain Boomerang's boomerangs kinda glow now. I love how Rick Flag is introduced to the audience as the guy who wants to shake our hand. I love the title transitions. I love the moment where Ratcatcher 2 puts her hand on Bloodsport to comfort him. I love this shot where Sebastian survives and slides down Starro's dead body. I love Ratcatcher 2's dad and his line,
"Rats are the lowliest and most despised of all creatures, my love. They have purpose. So do we all."
It is the whole ball game that proves James Gunn understands what makes the Suicide Squad special. I loved how Flag said Peacemaker was a joke. That felt like a truly solid burn and a nod to the fact that Watchmen's comedian was based on Peacemaker. I loved that Ratcatcher 2 was always tired, because I am always tired. I love how even though Boomerang exploded, his title card looked badass. And I loved watching Bloodsport pet Sebastian. I really liked this movie. Okay, now that is out of the way. So the big bad at the end of the movie is Starro the Conqueror, an alien that was captured by the US in the 90s, I think, and that has been imprisoned on the island of Corto Maltese, and is currently in the study of the Thinker, and he's torturing it. Real rough stuff. He might be doing other stuff to it. I don't know, probably. What do you think this face means? I don't know. So, when Starro gets an opportunity to escape, Starro takes it. Goes full kaiju, stomps around town, spreads little baby Starros, which take over the bodies of the Corto Maltesians. Now, I thought the Starro fight was it was missing something. Starro escapes, takes over some military dudes, leaves the Suicide Squad alone, which, not to nitpick, not unlike my podcast, mostly nitpicking. What are you doing, Starro? You got him. You have goons that can hold them down. And yeah, maybe you can't put a starfish on the shark, but you can definitely get starfishes on the other guys. And I don't want it to seem like I'm calling you out, Starro. You clearly know what you're doing, but if some people are covering their head and then you don't get a starfish on them, that probably means you should get a starfish on those guys. Like, put all of your effort into starfishing them, because they're the only people that are going to be able to stop you. Anyway, Starro escapes, then marches into the city, taking more drones before fighting the squad for a bit. And then they kill him, which is fine, but why Starro? Why not any other big old DC monster, like Titano, the super ape? See, in the comics, the fun of a Starro story comes from being forced to fight heroes who are under Starro's control. Starro picks up a few new toys that you need to both rescue and not get killed by. So that's tricky and fun. Changes the dynamic of the fight, forces our heroes into some pretty dire trolley problems. One of my favorite Starro stories, and probably my first, is the Batman Beyond episodes The Call 1 and 2, where Terry McGinnis Batman is invited to join the Justice League by Superman, but something's going on and it turns out Starro is involved. It's a great episode, and I actually talk about that episode in an extended version of this video that you can find on Nebula. I made a tier list of all of the characters on the Justice League, ranking them from Shui, which means very good, to slagged, which means very bad. Anyway, the big difference between this movie and other Starro stories like in Batman Beyond is that in the Suicide Squad, the Thinker explains that the victims of Starro's face-hugging are all essentially corpses. So it isn't really a moral dilemma if you kill the Starro drone, they're already dead. So that element of the Starro story can't transfer over to the movie. But it did kind of bug me that we never got a big Starro moment where he turned some heroes against our heroes. An easy way to do that would be to have Waller send someone like Captain Atom into the fight once Starro escapes, only for Captain Atom to be mind-controlled and turned into an antagonist. But then we need to kill Captain Atom, and hey, who really cares, but you never know. Maybe they want to keep him around as not a corpse. If only there were some corpses, you would hope recently deceased, who it would be interesting to see take on the Suicide Squad. If only they were a team of characters we never expect to see again, but could get one last ride. And if only that group coming together as a hive mind could force our heroes to work together as a true team. So yeah, if I could make one small change to the Suicide Squad, it would be this. Starro would Starroify Team 1. Cause, come on, we spend the first 15 minutes of this movie introducing and killing a team of superpowered weirdos that are currently somewhere on this island. And yes, I love the disposability of this scene and how it's all really just a distraction. But also, we can use them. In fact, you would imagine that after Team 1 is killed, their bodies would be taken to the Thinker for study. And what's even better is we have some interesting pairings that we can use to make the fight between specific members of Team 1 and Team 2 fun. So imagine this. Starro breaks out of his tank, and as he's leaving the building, we can see some of the Starro drones going into the lab. And then they happen upon some bodies covered in sheets. We don't see who the bodies are. They attach to the bodies. We see people sit up, silhouettes, and one has no arms. Alternatively, we could see that one of the corpses has poop on his boot, but I don't know if people will remember that Captain Boomerang did that earlier in the movie. Also, I want to change Team 1's deaths a bit. Specifically, Boomer and Mongal. Let's have them both be relatively intact. Mongal still dies in the helicopter crash, and Boomerang still gets splintered, but neither explode. I'm fine with characters getting their heads blown off, since Starro seems to be able to work a body pretty well if large parts of the head are destroyed. Also, let's work in that Starro can work a dead body with some injuries. We kind of see this in the lab, that one body that doesn't have a lower section. Like, if you're covered in splinters, Starro can make that body work, even life-threatening wounds. But if you kill the starfish, it's game over. And very importantly, if Starro takes over a dead host and the Starro drone is killed, the body goes back to being dead. Anyway, our heroes escape Jotunheim. Bloodsport, Harley, Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher 2, and King Shark. They all decide not to quit and follow Starro through the city. Starro gives its speech, he's in charge now, the squad shoots at him, and then Starro says, "I know who you are. You can't stop me." And then we hear, "But we can stop you." The squad turns and sees Team 1, but Starroified. Then we get some pairings, very fun. To start, easy one. Boomerang and Harley know each other. Harley has Javelin's javelin, so those two go after Harley. Then Weasel goes after Ratcatcher 2 because in real life, weasels eat rats. And the detachable kid joins in since his arms can travel over the rats. Next, I want Mongal and Savant to go up against Polka Dot Man, since they're the ones who are left, and Mongal might be able to take a hit from Polka Dot Man. Since she's an alien, I guess? I don't know. King Shark finds a recently killed Peacemaker who Shark doesn't want to fight, since King Shark does not know that Peacemaker killed Flag and tried to kill Ratcatcher 2. So King Shark won't fight Peacemaker and just keeps saying, "Friend." Then Blackguard goes for Bloodsport, the Battle of the Edgelord names. Bloodsport kills Blackguard easily, but then a Starro'd Rick Flag shows up to fight Bloodsport. This is a fun match since they seem to be friends, so Bloodsport will have a difficult time killing his buddy. The fight ends this way. Harley knocks away Boomer's boomerang since she knows him, how he works. Specifically, she knocks it out of the air with the javelin. Then, she grabs the boomerang, uses the javelin as a pole to vault over to Boomerang and cuts the star off his face. Boomerang is out. Then, Harley headshots Javelin with his own javelin. Ratcatcher 2 has trouble with Weasel because he eats the rats she sends to him, which upsets Ratcatcher 2. TDK tries to take her rat control device with detached arms. He takes it away so she doesn't have the device, but then Sebastian manages to run over to TDK, climb up on his body, get onto his head like Ratatouille. Since TDK no longer has his arms, Sebastian just gnaws at the starfish over TDK's face, and TDK can't do anything about it without the arms, so TDK is helpless and Sebastian manages to stop TDK. Isn't it weird to say TDK that many times? This leaves the arms free and Ratcatcher grabs one and uses it as a bat to knock down Weasel. Then the rats nibble Weasel's starfish off, which is a nod to the comics. In the old books, TDK, or Arms Fall Off Boy, would use his arms as melee weapons. A freed Ratcatcher 2 is able to tell King Shark that Peacemaker killed Flag. King Shark says, "Friend killed friend?" Then Ratcatcher 2 says, "Peacemaker isn't friend." And then King Shark just eats Peacemaker. And yes, in this version of the movie, Peacemaker and Weasel would not be able to survive in post-credit scenes, but I don't know, I'm okay with that. Also, maybe King Shark can throw up a not dead Peacemaker. Like, I don't know, he survived the Starroing somehow, so he can get his own spin-off show after this. Polka Dot Man has trouble with his two. Like I said, Mongal can take a hit from the polka dots, and Savant is able to hit Polka Dot Man with random items from far away. Things change when, accidentally, one of the polka dots hits Mongal's braid, which takes her hair down. And then it clicks in Polka Dot Man's head that these two long-haired characters really resemble his long-haired mother, so he goes wild and absolutely obliterates them. And Bloodsport v Flag is also tough, since Bloodsport is low on weapons and Flag is a pretty solid combatant. Everyone else finishes their fight and sees Flag and Bloodsport fighting far away. They think. Harley says, "We're such idiots." Ratcatcher 2 says, "What? We just fought a bunch of people with bombs in their heads. It could have just blown them up for us." Polka Dot Man says, "It could help Bloodsport." Ratcatcher 2 says, "But Flag doesn't have a bomb." She looks at Harley. "Does he?" And the guys at HQ open up the terminal to see if Flag also has an explosive. They notice one space is covered in tape. They remove the tape to reveal Flag's picture. The tech yells, "Bloodsport, duck!" Bloodsport drops to the floor and they blow up the bomb in Flag's head, killing his starfish. The scene ends with Bloodsport saying something like, "Waller." And that's all you need. Just a fun way to reincorporate our older characters as villains using the one superpower that our big bad is known for. Again, James Gunn or anybody that worked on the film, I love this movie, don't take this as criticism. Please make a second one of these. And put in Kite Man, because he has a kite. And man, that kite would look cool in live action. Because one of the things I really appreciated about the Suicide Squad was the way that they chose to visualize some of these characters. Like, look at this original concept art for the Thinker, and then look at the final design for the Thinker. They really went for it. I mean, what do those little bolt screw thingies in his head do? How did they make him smarter? I don't know. We'll never know, because it's a comic book and it's awesome. I mean, I'm sure there's an explanation in the comic book somewhere. And if you want to expand your mind without the use of weird metal bolt thingies, I would highly recommend this video's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is science and math enrichment learning. On Brilliant, you take short, challenging lessons on whatever topics you want. And it's not only super technical things like geometry or programming, although those are both there. I, for example, took courses on logic and search engines. What I love about Brilliant is either you ace the lesson, in which case you feel great, or Brilliant walks you through the correct answer so you learn the way to solve the problems and learn the concepts. To support this channel and learn about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/NandoVmovies and sign up for free. And the first 200 people who go to that link will get 20% off their annual premium subscriptions. Go check them out. As always, I have to give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are amazing. If you want to see your name up here, get access to videos early, other cool stuff. If you want to watch the monthly whiteboard videos live, or if you want to watch all the old ones, you want to be part of the comic book club. If you want me to say your name at the end of every video, I made a new tier. It's $100. It's like a mega tier. Some Patreons have that, and like no pressure. But if you have hundreds of dollars to blow, then I will absolutely take some of it. But listen, any amount of money, patreon.com/NandoViaMovies. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Also, definitely listen to my podcast, Mostly Nitpicking. Every week, me and my friends DJ and Diggins pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. We are going to record an episode about Suicide Squad very soon. We recorded episodes about Black Widow and Jungle Cruise and all the big releases of the summer, and we're going to do that going forward. So you can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are at Nitpicking Pod on Twitter. Last thing, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, NandoViaMovies on all of those platforms. That's all I got. Stay safe. See you next time.